Hey Adrian, welcome. I'm Bill Branch.
Adrian, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, if you don't mind, have a seat and we will start the process. Adrian, the first thing I need to ask as you get comfortable is what your major is.
My major is environmental, occupational, safety, and health.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Do you have any questions before we begin?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, good deal. Then we shall proceed. All right, Adrian, in your own words, how would you describe yourself?
Honest, hardworking, dependable.
Okay, three good qualities there. Adrian, how has your education prepared you for a career?
It's filled in a lot of the key gaps that you don't really get through experience. A lot of the background information that kind of tied how safety is applied to the everyday working environment.
Good answer. All right, Adrian, when did you graduate high school?
I'm not sure how that applies to my qualifications for the job.
Okay, well, let me rephrase that then. Are you over the age of 18?
Yes, I am.
Adrian, why did you choose the career you are now pursuing?
For the first 15 years of my work life, I spent it in manufacturing, and I noticed a lot of unsafe conditions constantly everywhere I went. And I just constantly found myself in a role of trying to fix or resolve issues and trying to improve safety until eventually I just started thinking maybe it would be a good career path.
That's a very good answer. Adrian, describe a time when you set your sights either too high or too low.
The previous company I worked for, I was a floor worker, good pay, lots of overtime. It was really a great job. And I kept trying for opportunities for advancement to get into management. And eventually I succeeded, and I thought that was going to be great. But when I got there, it was for less pay, the hours were horrible, and I just hated the job. So I ended up shooting too high, and I ended up leaving the company just because I couldn't go back to my old position, and I didn't like where I put myself.
It wasn't what you thought it was.
No.
Okay. All right, Adrian, now, if you don't mind, give me an example of a time when you tried to accomplish something and failed.
I'm not sure. I don't think I really have an answer for that one.
Okay, that's fine. What do you believe are your greatest weaknesses?
Procrastination is probably my key thing that I have to constantly work at. And I overwork. I try a little too hard and overachieve, and sometimes it's been an issue.
Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to go above and beyond the call of duty to get a job done.
When I was younger, one of my first jobs was as a woodworker. We made trim for cabinets. The company had contracted out an order of specialty trim to a third person, and that third party, was just a guy in a shed down dirt road, and he called 2 days for the order was supposed to be due on like a Friday, and said that he had death in the family. He was not going to be able to finish the order, but he would be more than happy if we used his equipment that he had and we could finish the order ourselves. So I volunteered, and I spent that Saturday and Sunday finishing the order so that we could get it to our customer in time.
Fantastic. Nice job of customer service there. Adrian, do you smoke or use alcohol?
No.
Okay. Tell me, what is your typical way of dealing with conflict, and give me an example.
I tend to try to avoid preemptively situations where I know I'm going to come into a conflict. So if I know a coworker or someone that I may not agree with, or I might be abrasive to them, I try to just avoid it all entirely, so I never get in that situation. But when it does occur, I try to stop, take a breath, and try to see it from both sides and try to resolve the issue before it escalates into something that can't be resolved.
Okay. Adrian, tell me about a time when you were able to successfully deal with another person, even when that individual may not have personally liked you or you didn't like him or her.
I worked third shift at a warehouse, and the first shift lead, who I left everything set up for him, was just one of those people that we were oil and water, we did not mix. And everything that I did was always wrong, and I always heard about it at the end of the day. And it took lots of discussions with my supervisor and lots of just personal perseverance of just taking a moment, taking a breath, and just not falling for the bait, not giving in to the temptation to fight with them. And it was a difficult couple of years, but I made it through it.
Okay, give me an example of a time where you had to make a split-second decision.
I was leaving warehouse on Friday, and everyone has already gone. I was locking everything up. An outside contractor was working on the plumbing in the top of the building about 30 feet in the air. As I walked out, he was in a man lift. I watched him climb over the side of the rail and out onto the plumbing that was suspended from the ceiling without a safety harness. I knew immediately that was an unsafe, act. He wasn't under my direct authority, but no one was there, so I had to decide either to let him do it or not. I stopped him, made him come down, and then would not let him continue working until we were able to contact the plant manager and resolve the issue.
All right, good answer. Tell me about a time, Adrian, when you missed an obvious solution to a problem.
I had a flat tire coming back, or a low tire coming back from Cape, and when I went to see what was wrong with it, there was a nail stuck in it, and I obviously just pulled the nail out, not thinking, and the tire immediately started going flatter. I didn't have anything to fix it, and I was panicking, and my father, who was with me, came around, he's like, duh, put the nail back in the hole until you get to the place where you can fix it. So otherwise, if you hadn't told me, it would have went flat right there, and I would have just been out of luck.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions pertaining to safety. How do you feel your training has prepared you for a job as a compliance personnel?
It has given me a greater appreciation for the complexity of safety, and not only what a compliance officer has to do, but how the supervisors, the management, the line workers, all of them have to work together cohesively to really make a safe culture for their employees, and just not just day to day, but every day, every week going forward. It's a continuous growth, and that everyone has to be committed. And I think that the training that I've received and the education has really kind of opened my eyes to that fact.
Okay, do you feel, if needed, you could fire or deal with a worker who has been found to be unsafe?
Yes.
Okay. With your training in OSHA compliance, could you overlook or let a violation slide until production is completed?
I could never overlook a safety violation, but it would depend on the severity and the immediate threat to an employee's safety or health. If it was something minor that no one was going to become injured and it could be resolved at the end of the shift, I would probably allow it. If there was a fairly substantial risk that someone can be injured, even if it's just a cut, I would have to stop them and make the correction right there.
Adrian, explain how you would react to a chemical spill in the company.
First thing I would do is evacuate the immediate area and try to contact the person who had spilled the chemical, saw the chemical spilled, or identify what chemical we were dealing with, because depending on the chemical, it depends on how I would have to react to it. If I could easily identify it and I knew it was to be non-toxic, I would just start cleanup process. If I identified it as toxic, I would have to evacuate the entire building, contact the appropriate personnel to start the cleanup process. If I couldn't identify it, I would have to evacuate to be on the safe side, and then check the MSDS for the list of chemicals that we have on hand, and then go forward with that.
All right, Adrian, that is all the time we have for today. Do you have any questions for the company?
No, I do not.
All right, sir. This time, I'd like to thank you for your time coming in today. We appreciate that. We will be back in touch with you. We have your contact information from your application form, And we'll be back in touch with you to let us know how this proceeds.
All right, thank you
All right,
guys.
You're welcome.